Okay, Yakov here. Good to be back. I bricked my PC. Uh, things are okay. I'm gonna finish what I was doing, and we'll pretend this never happened, and we can all just continue our day. Where is my spooky cello music? I know what I'm doing. I am in control. You is, it is you who is confused. I'm on top of things. I didn't boomer my shit. No. Let's try again. Author's postscript. Ranu's story exemplifies Vimalananda's whole teaching about Renanu Bandhana, a true tale of how a being takes birth, plays about, pays off debts, and departs once those debts have been paid. The story of Ranu would not be complete, however, without appending the story of Vimalananda's father to it. Since this tale involves me personally, I have deliberately written it in the first person from my point of view. During the summer of 1978, Vimalananda predicted that his father would die in his sleep before the end of the year. I had already experienced Vimalananda's accuracy in predicting the date and time of an individual's demise. It surprised me then when the year was ending and the foretold death had not yet occurred. We were in Bombay to celebrate Christmas and New Year's, when on the night of December 30th, I told Vimalananda, "You assured me your papa would pass during this year. What happened? He's still alive." Vimalananda replied, "There is still one day left in the year, isn't there? Let it go by first, and then tell me anything you like." Suddenly, for no apparent reason, a dog began to howl piteously in the street below. We later discovered that he had been locked in the post office located in our building on the ground floor and was howling to try to attract attention to his plight. According to the science of omens, however, the mournful baying of a dog in the night is an exceedingly inauspicious sign. The phone rang at 5 a.m. the next morning to announce that Vimalananda's father had died in his sleep during the night, about the same time the dog had begun to wail. As Vimalananda hung up the phone, he turned to me with a big "I told you so" grin and said, "Now what do you have to say?" As we entered the old man's room to pay our last respects, Vimalananda sighed contentedly and whispered to me, "Look at that face." He pointed to a picture on the wall, which was obviously one the old man. He pointed to a picture on the wall, which was obviously one of the old man done just a short while before his demise, for the features tallied almost precisely with those of the dead face before me. "That fellow on the wall is Harinath Thakur, our family guru," Vimalananda continued. "My father concentrated on his picture for so many years that he became like his guru, even in physical form. This is a practical demonstration of the Kita Brahmari Nyaya, the law of caterpillar and butterfly. Whatever you concentrate on, you will eventually become." Actually, there's a better reason for this, he mused on. In 1927, my father came down with meningitis and died. Yes, he died. I can show you death certificates signed by 3 different doctors. We received a message from Harinath immediately. "Don't remove the body for 12 hours after death." All our relatives said, "Don't be stupid. He's dead now. Let's cremate him." But my mother had implicit faith in her guru, and she was adamant. After 6 hours, the corpse sat up. He lived for another 51 years. A few days later, my father received a letter from Harinath. "My son, you will have a long life, but you will never see your Harinath anymore. Look after my boy," meaning me. I was 11 at the time. A cover letter from Harinath's son was enclosed, which stated that on such and such a day at such and such a time, his father had gone to sleep in his garden after mentioning that he felt my father needed his help. Harinath never woke from that sleep. The time he went to sleep turned out to be exactly the moment my father revived. After this experience, my father was a changed man. Although he had not much interest in his business before, after this incident he lost all interest in business and would spend his time doing japa or discussing spiritual subjects with my mother. I think there must have been some connection between his revival and his guru's death. Vimalananda made some further observations about his father's corpse, noting that there were no flies around the body, and that abstemious living has made the body itself almost as light as that of a child, both things he attributed to the old man's purity. At the Banganja Smashan, Vimalananda insisted on arranging the pyre himself. I always arrange the pyres for my family's funerals. It's my job. The Smashan is my home. I think I should know best how it's to be done. After igniting the pyre, Vimalananda called me over, and he and I made offerings of clarified butter into it, as if we were worshipping a sacrificial fire according to the traditional ritual. No one dared stop us, though there was visible agitation in the audience at the scandal of a son openly performing ritual worship on his own father's funeral pyre. Later, as we sat quietly smoking and watching the pyre burn, I mentioned this to Vimalananda. He laughed a hearty laugh and said, "What does my family know about me? I have never shirked from doing anything I felt I needed to do. I don't know why it is, but I will do most anything just for the experience of it. I'll do it once or twice, just so I know I can do it well, and then quit so it doesn't become a habit. Aghora is my life, though. I have always lived in the Smashan, and as an Aghori, I cannot afford to distinguish between the funeral pyre of my mother or my father and that of anyone else. How can I? No. Sadhana means sadhana, however you look at it. You must be ready to forget everything to become an Aghori. I had the same idea at my mother's funeral. In fact, I asked my friends, "Shall I perform a little sadhana here? It will give us great material benefits." But they turned me down. He fell silent. For a couple of hours, we chatted intermittently. Apart from voices, only the hiss of the dying pyre's flames, the cawing of a few raucous purple and black jungle crows, and the splash of ocean breakers just beyond the retaining wall disturbed the stillness of the Smashan. Eventually, Vimalananda said jauntily, "Let's go see if the old man has turned to ash yet." On inspection, only a few bone slivers remained among the piles of ash. After collecting some of these splinters for later rituals, we walked back to the car to drive home. A broad smile illuminated his face as Vimalananda told me, "Tonight we'll celebrate New Year's Eve with champagne." I feel I really have some reason to celebrate. My father has succeeded at his sadhana and had a fine death. And as we headed into the new year, he has got a good head start into a new life, a life those of us who live in the Smashan know very, very well. And that was chapter 4 of Aghora at the Left Hand of God by Robert Svoboda. I'll see you again for chapter 5. I'll talk to the engineer, see if I can avoid any future tech issues. God bless.